It's a wonderful place here, Pale. I really like it. Mr. Vucic seems to be a candidate here in Bosnia as well. He's big on posters in Pale. I'm not really sure if he's a Bosnian or a Serbian politician, or is it for him all the same? It's very confusing, but I try to understand and make sense out of it. In the coming days I will try. They don't crash me here on this beautiful road through Pale. It's a very developed city. It has good places, and Mr. Vucic seems to like it. And here is the road to Gorazde. I will continue. I see there's some construction activity. It's actually developing the city. It is no longer a hideout of war criminals as it once was. And Mr. Vucic is here on a poster. So very interesting everything. I made some statement. I saw some Bosnian flag at some of the general administration buildings here. It's actually quite good. Yeah? Look, there is some good shopping center, and that's also some kind of economy here. And there's also a nice sports center for the children, very good. And you see that this city is developing because they have this European currency, and they could get even the euro. Imagine how rich Pale could be, because actually it's very nice surrounding here in the mountains. Bosnia is a very nice place. Obviously, the past is still a shadow over this city, but it could be a nice ski resort like in Austria, and the future it will be. Jahorina is even nicer, and Pale could be like the regional town like Wörgl in Tyrol. It's not a ski resort directly, but very close to it are the ski resorts. That's of course also the future here. And here everybody does, of course, in the traffic whatever they want. Yes, so you have to be always a bit careful when you podcast and drive especially. But in general it's good to be careful when you are in Ukrainian dress. In Bosnian part, also in the Bosnian Serb part in Pale, remember, they are not, nobody's blinking here, giving signals. Obviously it's below themselves. This is a nice sign, 130. They want me to drive 30, I will do that. I don't want to be in contact with the authorities of the Republika Srpska. I don't know if the road police is with them or how this is organized, but I don't want to test this. Yes, I'm here, that's the police here already, very nice. And they are here, very beautiful surroundings. I really like it. It's for me fascinating. Pale, the drive-through, and this beautiful poster of, here you see the disasters of Yugoslavia left over. It's always, they always say it has such great industry. I only see disasters. Where is the great industry? It was never very substantive and never meaningful. They have distributed everything chaotically all over the country and have left over only disaster. Here's another disaster factory left over. I don't know what it was. Probably they do then wood factory here. Doesn't look very good, to be honest. They always have this very kind of here you see on both sides. Yugoslavia unfortunately left nothing. Austria, at least, you know, we have developed. What Yugoslavia did, a sports center, very important, like a big skiing centers that they have, yes, but that we have as well. So ultimately the quality also very low, and it was all funded by American money with this blackmail. And yes, Yugoslavia was a terrorist state, and it was a bit softer than in the Warsaw Pact. That's true. It was not a communist system but a socialist system, but it was far from being anything good or decent. That we always have to be very clear. Now I passed Pale, I made my pictures, I made my case. Here the energy infrastructure is renovated and there is decent roads. It's a bit bumpy, but it could be worse. And we are heading here now into the mountains, and I will then, this one I have seen already. There is Gornja Pale and there is some other people on the elections, and the 2nd of October there will be elections in this country. Here's the ski center. So ahead of these elections there will be a lot. But look, the houses are nice, the families have invested. Many of them have, of course, relatives in Austria or in Germany, mainly, or in America or anywhere, you know, in the world, Canada, Australia. This is, of course, a very well connected, because it was the same in Austria during the times when we had to leave so often. But of course, the Bosnians, many of them, probably 1/3 of them, have already left since 92 in 30 years. And they have found a better life in freer societies. And now they send money back, they invest 30 years, a generation later. There's now peace and security backed by Euro-backed currency and by NATO backed, it's now called I4, it was past S4. So it's a EU stability mission, but ultimately we would be engaged in the security of the borders. So a breakup of Bosnia, as Mr. Dodik is always trying to threat, with the result in military intervention by NATO to end such a thing, and he knows it. If not, I'm sure he knows everything. They will tell him from time to time, I guess, when he is too enthusiastic after he is one of the few, together with the Talibans, to attend the Petersburg Forum during the war against Ukraine. We shall not forget. And things are, of course, as they are. Good, I'm heading now into that beautiful part between Pale, that was that area now. Pale was the headquarters of the paramilitary political leadership. Mr. Karadzic and all these people, they were here. They were, of course, having this mission of historic justice. I always try to understand also the enemies of Europe and the criminals. They were thinking that there was so much injustice done in the world against the Serbs that they have the right to kill now everybody because historically, because the injustice against them, which I actually don't see too much, the crimes which the Germans have committed and the Austrians in World War I and World War II, you know, they were really horrendous and terrible. I apologize many times, and it was certainly colonial crimes and imperial crimes and Nazi crimes and Holocaust and all these terrible things. But you know, this were defeated. They lost for that, and they lost dramatically. And then we were re-educated. I'm the product of American re-education, I say so. I found the freedom and the truth in a pro-Western worldview. And I hope not everybody, unfortunately, in Austria. We still have Nazis and we still have really bad people, anti-Americans, anti-capitalists, anti-Semitists, protectionists. But I'm luckily not one of them. But the truth is that such countries need a better future in NATO and in the EU. And when people are stuck in the past and think self-justifying themselves with some kind of whatever, the Turks have occupied us and American imperialism and blah blah blah, then we're ending up in this kind of genocidal violence. And they were thinking they were right to divide Bosnia and create their own state and all these things, yeah, and unify it later. The only thing they created was a lot of terror, genocide and horrors for themselves and for their victims. Ultimately, in the name of history, they will be always the perpetrators, like the Germans and the Austrians, yeah. And the Serbs, in the name of this greater Serbia, have ostracized them for themselves for a long time. And then they think that's unfair and the Americans are against them. No, it's your own deeds. Americans were your allies in World War I and World War II, the British. You betrayed them. The Americans helped the Tito partisans and the British against their former allies, which was the Royal Yugoslavia. And then they supported the Tito partisans even when Tito was misbehaving extremely between 1944 and 41, basically, when America decided to financially support it. And he and Tito, but you know, in 4 years or in 6 years, it was from 44 to 51. It sounds as 5 years only, but you can do a lot of harm to your population in 5 years of terror regime. Yes. And then it was also not so nice. The reality of Yugoslavia was then in 65 when they had the bankruptcy and they asked for full American funding, and it was the height of the Cold War, and then they fully went under American cover. And then these years when Tito somehow settled down to be the gaucho or the big bloc-free leader, this was from 61, he founded that one, and then he was the clown of the third world, the big hero, and Americans paid for it in order not to have him. That was the 20 years of decency in Yugoslavia, where the American ambassador stopped Rankovic regime in Kosovo, and he stopped all these worst human rights abuses which were standard, especially after the war. There were tremendous crimes committed there. I mean, all these revenge killings and the terror and this forced communistization and all the terrors. You cannot justify the terror of the Yugoslavia with the terrors of the Ustasha and to say it's all justified, you have now to kill everybody. No, must be due process, must be some kind of there was also the idea in the Morgenthau plan to shoot a lot of Germans. I mean, that you cannot do when you are a democracy. Churchill was very clear in Tehran and in the big summits in Tehran and in Yalta. This idea of the Soviet Union, how to do things, and of Yugoslavia, how the things were obviously terror regimes. They do these things, but this cannot be done by America and by the Great Britain and by the EU. It didn't exist at that time, but by European standard. You must have a due process and a decent process. Of course you can punish war criminals, that's what we are doing, but you cannot punish collectively 10,000, hundreds and thousands of people and shoot them summarily, as they have done in Yugoslavia, especially in 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, and it calmed a bit down when Tito lost the support of Stalin and they split completely at Vidovdan 48, and then came this period of chaos and the Korea War, and then in the Korea War Yugoslavia ultimately then decided to go under the cover of the US, and in 51 the Americans decided to massively fund Yugoslavia until 68. In 68 it was no longer necessary and Yugoslavia was anyhow then totally bankrupt, so why to continue to fund it? And then it ended up in this kind of disaster war, because Milosevic saw his chance for power, he grabbed it, and he knew he cannot let the central myths of Serbia, like Kosovo, Bosnia and Montenegro, this is really important, Croatia partly only, he knew it will be very bloody. He declared the war in Kosovo Pale 98 on the Vidovdan, and he had it onwards. This is the history in a nutshell, and we have then all these wars from Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia, Kosovo, and also now this bullying continuing and the threat of war constantly. And in that situation we are. Now I'm heading towards Gorazde. It will take some time to be there. I will find out. Gorazde is the first time. It's a very important enclave, and it was also UN protected. It was besieged for 3.5 years, from 92 to 95. It was saved, and the genocide didn't happen there. They had more, I don't know exactly what was the difference. I guess that they had a UN commander who was not a Dutch weakling, and the shame of Europe, but they probably had some decent guys who were telling Mladic to fuck off. And probably the Gorazde people had also better supply system, I was explained, through the mountains. I don't know all the facts and figures. I will try to find out. I will keep you posted here while I'm driving through this alpine landscape from Pale to Gorazde. That's my day's plan, to go now. After I have passed Pale, I will go to Gorazde, and I will keep you posted. After some time I will also make a small stop to see if they give me something to eat here, and then I will be continuing my podcast tour, and I will show you Eastern Bosnia 2022 on the 11th of July as I saw it. I will not go to Srebrenica today, that will be for the future. I will go to Gorazde, another hero town, one that was saved, and I want to make that point that Gorazde was saved because of better UN management and because of better international courage, and it could have been the same for Srebrenica. And I want to make the point that we all should be for Ukraine, and that Mariupol is the same like Srebrenica, because unfortunately we didn't help the people of Srebrenica and we didn't help the people of Mariupol. They are good Europeans. They are Europeans just living on the edge. It's the same Europeans everywhere. They were unfortunately betrayed by Europe. They thought they have a chance. They lived too close to the Russian terror regime and they had to die. It seems so. And that's of course a big tragedy, and the responsibility for genocide is always with the genocidal perpetrators, but the co-responsibility is with the people who didn't stop it when they could. And we could have stopped the Srebrenica genocide as we could have stopped the Mariupol genocide. Yes, and this is one of the villages. This is how it looks like here. I'm putting up a bit the heat temperature. It's the Yachar Arena is here. It's getting a bit cold here. I will check out if I find something to eat. It's 1:30. My metabolism is saying yes to some beautiful place, and I just have to find which one is really good. That's just a coffee. Yeah, this is here now, this beautiful place in central Bosnia, central eastern Bosnia. It is very nice, and there will be a good place here. The church, please church, keep out of the state and the politics. I think I made the case already. And here we are in this beautiful place. Here they have some stopper, or whatever you call that, the speed reduction, that policeman, whatever they call it, in various countries. And here you see this very, another bad Yugoslavian leftover industry. How bad can it be? Why didn't do, of all this American money, why didn't you do some good technology? Something useful. This is wood factory. That's in principle a good idea. Very good. Maybe there is, this could be some future. Wood export, furniture making, there is a big future in that one in Bosnia, because you have the forest and you can really do decent things. That's a Muslim cemetery. Yeah, we are here just passing, and now we are on the road to Gorazde. More to come from Baksa Rupjana, here from the mountains in central eastern Bosnia on the road to the hero city Gorazde. I'm very much looking forward to show it to you. Thanks a lot, all the best, bye.